From Bountygate,
getting off the field,
getting a player out of bounds.
I have the utmost respect for Kurt Warner for going.
the cover-up of CTE,
I didn't see a flag.
Two Vontaze perfect and
the rigging of Super Bowl III,
I personally think the game was fixed.
the NFL is no stranger to conspiracy theories. But what if I told you these theories turned out to be true? These are the craziest NFL conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. Bountygate. The Saints paid bonuses for injuring opponents. In 2009 through 2011, the Saints had a full-on bounty system going on right before our eyes. The New Orleans Saints seemed to target some of the biggest names in the NFL, and players, teams, and fans started to catch on. I mean, if you look at hits like these,
that penalty will be
and these,
getting off the field, Jonathan Vilma.
it makes sense why people were thinking these players were dirty. People fully thought that players on the Saints defense were intentionally injuring players. Greg Williams was the defensive coach at the time and was the force that started this whole thing and the bounty system.
Kill the head, the body will die. We want his head sideways.
The little wide receiver, number 10, about his concussion. We need to probably put a lick on him right now. He becomes human. You probably take out that outside ACL. We need to decide on how many times we can beat Frank Gore's head.
He came up with a hit list, and here's how the payment system worked. A card off is $1,000. A knockout is $1,500. There was extra bonuses for high-profile QBs, like the $10,000 offered to injure Brett Favre. And there was a double bonus of all the money in playoff time. These bonuses came from a fund pooled by all the defensive players on the team. The biggest bounties during this time were Brett Favre, Kurt Warner, Aaron Rodgers, Frank Gore, and Michael Crabtree. And on March 2nd, 2012, the NFL said that they found real evidence of a bounty system going on throughout the Saints organization. 22 of 27 Saints players took part in the Bountygate system. The Saints also won Super Bowl 44, which happened during the years that this was taking place. This could have meant that the Saints giving these bounties to their players led to them getting an advantage with injuries against the other team. The hits that happened during their Super Bowl run left vicious injuries to major players. In the divisional round against the Cardinals, Kurt Warner got knocked out of the game with this crazy blindside block. He left with bruised ribs and had to leave the game, as well as Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie getting a knee injury and Antrell Roll leaving the game with a concussion. During their NFC Championship game, Brett Favre took a ton of brutal hits and suffered a leg injury, but managed to stay in the game. Cornerback Cedric Griffin and Antoine Winfield suffered injuries as well. Greg Williams was suspended indefinitely. Sean Payton got suspended in the 2012 season for attempting to cover it up for 2 seasons. Mikey Loomis, the GM of the Saints, got an 8-game suspension and a $500,000 fine. The Saints were fined $500,000 and were forced to forfeit their 2012 and 2013 second-round draft picks. Spygate. The Patriots were secretly filming defensive signals from the sideline. From 2000 to 2007, the Patriots officially became a dynasty, winning 3 Super Bowls. They were almost too good. Or were they cheating? On September 9th, 2007, it was week 1 and it was the New York Jets versus the New England Patriots. It was found that someone on the staff of the Patriots was filming the Jets' defensive signals from the sideline. The Jets then confiscated the camera and turned it over to the NFL. The NFL then confirmed that the Patriots have been stealing signals since at least 2000. Investigators found some very important evidence. Inside a room accessible to only Belichick and a few others, they found scouting material containing videos of signals with detailed notes matching signals to plays for many teams. There was handwritten diagrams of defensive signals of the Pittsburgh Steelers, including notes used in the January 2002 AFC Championship game won by the Patriots. But for some reason, Roger Goodell had the tape stomped and destroyed in a shredder immediately without being examined by league officials. Nobody knows why, but they destroyed the evidence and never released a full report. NFL fans and players then started wondering what exactly was on those tapes, and if they were already punishing them, why would they then destroy the evidence? In a meeting, Bill Belichick said he misinterpreted a league rule, explaining that he thought it was legal to videotape opposing team signals as long as the material wasn't used in real time. Very few people in the room bought it though. Bill Belichick got a $500,000 fine and the Patriots organization got a $250,000 fine. plus a loss of a 2008 first-round draft pick. It's a small slap on the wrist for years of alleged cheating. Plenty of people actually believed the Patriots did this from 2000 to 2007 before they even got exposed. Former players from the Rams, Eagles, and Panthers believed it helped the defense prepare better against them. Especially in Super Bowl 36, defensive players said New England knew their audibles and play calls the whole time. Rams running back Marshall Faulk even says he believes this as well.
The walkthrough before the Super Bowl.
Yes, that's a fact.
Based on my knowledge of the situation, that's the tape that they had.
The CTE cover-up. The NFL allegedly denied the fact that concussions caused brain damage for years. Players and doctors noticed that guys were retiring very young and were mentally downgrading. Rumors even went around that the league was paying for research that would find no connection between the two, so it looked better for the NFL. People ultimately believed the NFL had secret data on concussions that they weren't sharing. If you're not aware, CTE is a brain disease that is caused by repeated trauma to the head. It can cause memory loss, depression, dementia, and can lead to. In 2002, Dr. Bennett Omalu found CTE in an autopsy of Steelers legend Mike Webster. He then officially published an article linking football to permanent brain damage and how it affected the NFL players. Then after that, the NFL tried to discredit the findings by getting his work erased from medical journals. And they posted their own article denying those studies and said there was no risk. League of Denial is a book that was made in 2013 about the dangers of NFL concussions and CTE. The weird part is that ESPN had originally been a partner in the project of their documentary they were making on it, but they backed out later. They said it was because of lack of editorial control. Some people speculate this was because the NFL pressured them to back out of the deal. There's plenty of victims of CTE from football. In fact, CTE has been found in the brains of more than 300 NFL players after they died. Players who suffered the hardest are Aaron Hernandez, Dave Duerson, Demaryius Thomas, Vincent Jackson, and many more. In 2013, players officially sued the NFL. Over 4,500 retired players filed a lawsuit claiming that they knew the dangers and didn't warn them about them. The NFL settled for $765 million at the time without admitting guilt of this happening, but it then grew to over $1.4 billion with payments to over 1,800 players. But the NFL still denies that they knew the dangers and hid the facts about CTE. Deflategate. Tom Brady and the Patriots were deflating footballs to gain an advantage against their opponents. Softer footballs are easier to throw, grip, and catch, especially with the weather that they were dealing with at the time. The theory was that Tom Brady was at least a little bit aware that the Patriots were doing this. In the 2014 AFC Championship game between the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts, the Colts complained and reported that the Patriots footballs felt underinflated and had less PSI than the required limit. At halftime, they measured the footballs and they found that 11 of 12 Patriots footballs were below the legal limit of PSI. The Wells report released in 2015 said that it was more probable than not that the Patriots staff deflated the footballs and that Tom Brady was generally aware of what was happening. Brady was suspended for the first 4 games of the 2016 season, and the Patriots were fined for $1 million and lost 2 draft picks. Brady fought this suspension in court and won the appeal, but he ultimately served the suspension. But there is people who think that the Colts framed the Patriots and that the science they provided didn't back up the NFL's claims. They believe the Colts set the Patriots up and wanted to start a scandal, that they allegedly used a wrong measuring gauge on the Patriots' balls before handing them to the officials. Even MIT professors and scientists argue that the deflating of the football was natural because of the weather and happened completely naturally. There is no definitive proof that Deflategate actually happened, but it was more than likely what happened. Super Bowl III was scripted. This conspiracy is one that hasn't been confirmed, but if you look into it, it may have swung that way. Back then, the merger between the AFL and the NFL was starting in 1970, but the AFL wasn't very competitive and nobody really took them seriously. The theory is that the NFL needed the AFL to win to keep the future of pro football alive, and it was purposefully fixed for the Jets to win so the NFL can be the way it is today. The NFL's Packers had won the first 2 Super Bowls easily. A few days before the big game, Joe Namath famously guaranteed a Jets win in an interview. The Jets were massive underdogs, and people believed they had no chance at all. The Baltimore Colts weren't any team. They were 18-point favorites and considered one of the best teams ever assembled in NFL history. Their QB, Earl Morrall, was the NFL MVP as well. Right after Namath made his guarantee, many public bettors shifted their money to the Jets, and it made people think they had inside knowledge about the game being fixed. On January 12, 1969, the New York Jets of the AFL played the Baltimore Colts of the NFL. The Jets ended up beating the Colts 16-7 in one of the biggest upsets in sports history. But the weird part was that the Colts and Earl Morrall played incredibly bad, passing 6 of 17 completions for 71 yards and 3 interceptions. And Don Shula didn't switch QBs fast enough and put Johnny Unitas in the game way too late. One of the most confusing plays that sparked this theory is when he missed a wide open flea flicker to Jimmy Orr, who was waving his arms in the end zone. And instead of passing it to him, he threw a pick right in the middle of the field. The late defensive end Bubba Smith that played for the Colts in in this game, went on an interview and explained why he thinks the game was fixed for the Jets.
I personally think the game was fixed. If the Jets don't win that game, then they don't have the NFL the way it is today.
Oh, because it was the merger. It was
the merger. That was the third. You'll see Jimmy Orr standing down in the end zone like this. Nobody is within 30 yards of him. He's the primary receiver, and Earl never looked that way.
Nothing about Super Bowl III has been confirmed to be fixed, but if you look on how the Jets needed to win for the NFL to be how it is today and the Colts playing suspiciously bad, it could definitely be a possibility of it being fixed. Thank you for watching the first video on this channel, and if you enjoyed this, please consider dropping a like and subscribe, and let me know what you believe is true about these conspiracies in the comments.